This Azerbaijan Grand Prix 2024 betting picks edition of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get ready for speed.
You just wait, sunshine. You just wait.
Get ready for the passion.
To whom it may concern you.
Get ready for the raw emotion.
Sì, ragazzi! Grazie, grazie, grazie! Dai, forza Ferrari!
Get ready for the F1 Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb. Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. And for back-to-back weeks, Cody, we actually have F1 racing. How incredible is that?
Is it? Oh yeah, back to back going forward, right? Yes.
Wait, right? Oh no,
yeah. We didn't have it last week.
We didn't have it last week.
You really threw me off there, but you're right because we do have it this weekend and next week, so it is back to back weeks, Rod.
There you go. Thanks for bailing me out on that one. I swear, I look at
as many bets as you hit last F1 Grand Prix.
Oh yeah,
you've probably been celebrating for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's not. I'm not going to blame you for forgetting that it was 2 weeks ago.
You know, that was a fantastic week. I know we didn't have a show recapping it last week, but boy, the Italian Grand Prix sure was good to us. Ferrari, the prancing horse, the pony, the everything that you needed to hit definitely hit. Cody, that was fun. That was a fun race overall, actually.
Yeah, man, just this season just continues to deliver. Again, we talked about it going in, and it's going to be the same thing going in this week, right? There's a number of drivers who can win, a number of drivers who can get it done. And yeah, it's been really, really exciting. Zach Brown was on the Dale Jr. download this week, Rod. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that. Very, very good episode. I would highly suggest go listen to that. But yeah, like his story to get where he is, pretty incredible in and of itself. But you know, all the work that they've put in over, I think he's been at McLaren 8 years, and where they were 15th, 16th place on the grid each and every week when he started to now they're the top team on the grid, right? It's been quite the journey and was pretty cool to kind of hear all of his thoughts and stuff on that. And you know how they're not taking it for granted because you can see how fast it changes. And we've really seen that this year. And yeah, I mean, we're at one of the best places we've been in quite a few years with a lot of different teams can win any given week. You know, I think we are considering McLaren as the top team right now, but Ferrari goes out and gets it done last time out. So just kind of shows you that can go to a lot of people right now.
Well, and you know, I talked about it too when we talked in the preseason about we're strapping in and getting ready for another Max Verstappen runaway year. But I think we also thought that this could be a year too where people catch up. And I'm glad we were right because again, it makes the sport a lot more interesting. But I think a lot of us were prepared for another 25 win. You know, I mean, obviously we said the under for Max Verstappen wins because it was definitely a high bar. Although no one would blame you if you would have taken the over on it. But even still, yeah, we're very fortunate to have seen the type of racing that we've seen the last few weeks, the parity of the racing that we've seen, and just the overall talent level rise to where, or is it, Cody? I mean, is it that Red Bull took a step back and everybody else took a step forward? I can't see that would be the thing, but I tell you,
I do think it's a combination because I think they were so far ahead that they had to drop a little bit. And I mean, like we're not fooling anybody, right? Max Verstappen is still the best driver and the most talented guy in the field right now, and one of the top 2 most talented drivers in the entire world, right, Rod? So you know, and it's a struggle for him right now, and so I don't think that his car is up to the level it was before, and you can definitely see that frustration kind of pouring through.
See it and hear it too, man. Every time he cracks the radio open, it's always just you can hear the exasperation because look, when you're the best at what you do and people are starting to catch up to you, you want to put that, and
Well,
I'll have plenty to talk about later about that.
he wasn't that happy with it always when he'd win by 22 seconds.
That's true
Now,
too.
you know, 6th or 7th place in the order, and it's like, oh boy, you thought he wasn't happy before.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, yeah. Again, he wasn't satisfied when he was kicking everyone's ass by an entire lap. Now he's even worse off. So, yeah, we'll definitely have more to talk about. The reason why I forget exactly what week it is because the NFL season's back again, and I'm telling you right now, when your NFL season is back, your whole world shifts. So, I don't know, between NASCAR, between NFL, between all the stuff that Cody and I both cover, it's hard to keep track of. But college football, NFL, back in full swing. Make sure you're subscribed right now to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience. You're going to get free picks for every game against the spread. Those guys, man, they bust that. They don't know. Once NFL and college football season starts, they don't know what day it is. And so I props to them for even keeping track of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're fully into the best time of the year, Rod. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, there's so much going on right now, up to and including, like we said, F1 as we go to the Baku City Circuit. This is another street course for the Formula One drivers. Not very many races have been held here before as it opened in 2016. We are set for 6.003 kilometers, which comes out to just under 4 miles, 3.7 miles around this course, 51 laps. Cody, this looks like a key. Plain and simple. A pretty long key. One of those keys that you see on those movies where they're like, I have the key.
Yeah, it is. It's either that or like the Easter egg ladle that you stick the Easter egg into the cup with and pull it out after you've dyed colors, right? If you're paying you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, exactly. If you've ever done that with your kids, you know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, not too many repeat winners. In fact, only one repeat winner, and we'll talk about him later. And Sergio Perez.
Yes.
Yeah. Bottas has a win here. Hamilton has a win here. Verstappen has one, and Danny Rick even has a win here as well. So, like I said, this is a street course, which means there's a lot more finesse that needs to be had, especially given some of the corners that we're going to see. There are 20 corners in total, 2 DRS detection zones, actually, which is kind of crazy. One between turns 1 and 2, and then another longer down the stretch right around turn 20, which kind of puts you down into the backstretch. Really long drag strip here between turns 19 and 1 when you come back across the start-finish line. So a lot of full throttle there.
Yeah, you got that one area of full throttle, but then I mean, turns 7 through 12 are like, yeah, hello, buddy. It's all in a very, very small, tight area. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this race.
Yeah, I mean, you're spending that entire section between 7 and 19 in a circle. So you're essentially driving in a gigantic circle, like a roundabout, but a giant roundabout on this.
Just going around the straight block, basically.
Yeah, definitely gonna be fun. Charles Leclerc owns the track record here at 1 minute 43 seconds and 0.009 on this one. Now, this one actually was held earlier in the year for a couple of seasons, so this will be the first time that it's kind of later in the trip. Not sure what that's going to do for weather or for anything else, but yeah, we're definitely about to see a good race in this one as well.
We do have one notable piece of news that we need to talk about for this race, Rod. Kevin Magnussen has been suspended for this race. He will not be competing in his Haas like normal. If you've ever been on iRacing before, sometimes it happens. You accrue too many incident points and they kick you out, Rod. Well, that's what happened with Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, he's exceeded the damage penalties over the last 10 races or whatever the deal is. But yeah, getting sat down for a race. So Oliver Bierman returning to F1. Of course, we saw him earlier this season in the Ferrari when Carlos Sainz had his emergency appendectomy. Filled in very nicely. Youngest driver in history of F1 to score points on debut. So very good. And then you saw the picture of, or the video, whatever, of him going to class later in the day or later in the week, right? Returning to high school to finish out class. So that's always great. But yeah, he is going to be back with Haas this week instead of Ferrari, of course, because he'll be filling in for Magnussen. This could be his home in 2025 as well, where he will be one of the two Haas drivers. So getting a little bit comfortable in that seat and giving it a run this week.
Yep, they're getting the mold ready for him for next season after this one. So yeah, look, and this is going to be fun to watch because we've seen these guys, especially when they come in for practice or take the cars out for a spin, look really well. And then of course, Bierman looking really, really good in his first start as well. So look, this is going to be fun to watch. Obviously, we'll talk about him a little bit more too, because it's intriguing to have him in the field. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this race. Like I said, this is going to be a good one. This always has been a good one. So we will line it all up and get ready for the bets, which, Cody, I believe we could probably get to now. I don't think there's anything else to talk about other than laying out the bets.
Let's do it, Rod. Well, you mentioned there's only one two-time winner of this Grand Prix, and that is Mr. Sergio Perez. Checo, Rod, they call him the street course king, and they do it for a reason. I'm pretty in on Checo Perez this week, especially because you're getting really good numbers on him, and that's the part that I like, right? So if he disappoints and doesn't get through Q1, we've been there before, right? And it's going to suck, but it happens. So I'm taking DraftKings actually has top 4 over there, plus 275 for him to get in the top 4. I really like that a little bit more than taking the podium. I'm actually going to take both, sort of a mini car lift here, but top 4 plus 275 on DraftKings I'm liking. Podium, you can get him 8-1 over on Bet365. I like that as well. Also, Rod, I'm going to take him as the fastest qualifier, 40-1 over on DraftKings. So little mini car lift with Checo Perez here, but street course king, right? That's what we call him, and there's a good reason for it. We've not really had a ton of street courses this season, and most of the ones we had were earlier this year, right? Canada, Monaco, absolute disasters. That was in the middle of what the fuck is going on with Checo. Like, do we need to replace him? He's potentially already cost Red Bull the constructors title. Like, things were going rough there. Very bad finishes for him. Kind of how it goes. But earlier in the season, 4th place at Miami. That would cash your top 4 bet right there, right? That was kind of the coming out party for McLaren as well. 5th place at Australia. 2nd place at Saudi. Again, Red Bull was maybe a little faster then. I think that this circuit should even that out a little bit because it is more of the technical street course stuff than just high speed, right? You're going to have the high speed down the one straight, of course, but he won this race last season. You love that. He won last year. He won here. He won Saudi. He was 3rd place at Vegas as well. And then in 2022, he was 2nd place here, and he won here in 2021. So over the last 3 years, Rod, a win, a 2nd place, and a win. Absolutely love that for Checo. He's not, you kind of think of it and you're like, oh boy, it's not been great for him. But since the summer break, they figured things out, right? He's been getting some top 6 finishes, kind of been hanging out in the ballpark of the area you're wanting him. I think all the numbers are right. So give me Checo Perez, top 4 plus 275, 8-1 for his podium. Fastest qualifier, 40-1. See if we can summon the street course king out of his genie bottle and cash some tickets for us this weekend.
So I do. In fact, I love anything Red Bull this week, and I'll expand on that in a little bit. But Perez especially, because if there's a get right opportunity for a guy like Perez, this is it. This is probably the only one for the rest of the season that you're going to have a get right opportunity for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some street courses. You got Mexico's home race, but he shit the bed there last year. Vegas, but if we don't see it this week, then yeah, sound the alarm bells. And I don't know that we're going to see it again because they've started to right the ship again. I know Red Bull's falling off a bit, but it's not. Red Bull's not just fell flat on the face of earth and you can't find him anymore. They're still solid. He's running well. Max is still doing fine. Yeah, this is the week for them to get it done. So Checo needs to show up and get a good number. If he shows up and does really well here, you're not going to get as good numbers here at Mexico in a few weeks and maybe even Vegas and whatever other street courses we have coming up.
Yep, we go where the numbers lead us. And of course, Sergio Perez is where they're leading us this week. So I like it. I like it a lot. I'll give you my first bet in a second, but I want to take this opportunity to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry, and the NFL is back. Like we said before, there's a ton of Pick'em specials to get you started, plus great action in college football, and of course, Formula One and NASCAR, if you're a NASCAR gambling podcast listener as well. And we'll give you a ton of our favorite, well, maybe not a ton.
I'm going to give you one right now, Rod.
Uh-oh.
Generally, F1 is not up when we're recording the F1 podcast, but it is up right now. Just talked about him. Checo Perez, 7.5 is his finishing position. Hammer the better than. That's going to end up in a lot of my Underdog Fantasy lineups this week.
Oh my God, yes. Hammer that over or better than. That's Sergio Perez, better than 7.5. Oh my God, that is a one in and of itself. So grab that one now. Plus use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Sign up with our promo code in the meantime, RACE SGPN, to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACE SGPN. Holy cow, I love that one. That one's a fantastic one.
Yeah, and like that, he doesn't need to get up into the top 4. Like he just needs to be a top 7 car, not even the top 6, top 5, like just in the top 7 for the better than on that. Oof. There's that little hint of hopefully he gets out of Q1, right? But come on, I mean, it's Checo Perez on a street course on this circuit where he's been really good. 7.5, great number. Underdog's been very, very generous to us here lately. Maybe they're focusing on football, Rod. Don't tell anybody, but let them keep giving us these nice projections over there in the racing world.
Seriously, we'll jump all over him. Speaking of jumping all over, we're going to jump all over the books on this one. Let's overreact to one Formula One race, shall we? There's a matchup right now that currently features Esteban Ocon over the newcomer, and I can't understand why we're getting this. Franco Colapinto. I mean, the Ocon side of this is at plus money, plus 160 on BetMGM. Colapinto's been in one Formula race in his career. Granted, it was a 12th place finish in Monza, which is impressive. I get it. But one Formula One race in his career in a Williams machine. Let's not forget, this is the Williams machine that had Logan Sargent in it for the most. And we were jockeying Logan Sargent to be the worst qualifying finisher in many, many, many races that he was in, and usually cashed that bet for us. Logan Sargent, who was a lap down more often than not. Logan Sargent, who got bounced from his ride because of a 17.1 average finishing position on the season in a 20-car field. Logan Sargent with no points finishes in his entirety of the 2024 season. It's not as if this equipment got super, super good, but like Monza was a different race than a lot of the races that we've watched. And for Colapinto, yeah, okay, it was a great showing for him to be in top. It was a top 12 car. He was in 12th place at the end of the day. But you had guys like Daniel Ricciardo that had some really bad problems. You had Esteban Ocon, you had Gasly that didn't have a good day. I'm just saying, like, it's not going to be a reversal of fortune. And he's going to be on a street course, which we know is a little more difficult than Monza, because Monza is like a wide open track that has a lot of sweeping corners, that has a lot of, this is a way more technical race than was Monza. I do not think this Williams car is going to be as fast as it was there. And I just think when we give Ocon the chance to go against him at plus money, I will take Ocon at plus money, because again, this is I'm looking for my tab that has Ocon in it, and I'm not finding it right now, but I will get there. Esteban Ocon, 5 starts on this track, 2 points finishes. He had a 10th place finish in 2022 and then a 6th place finish in 2017. Of course, he was in the Force India Mercedes at that point, but a 10th and a 15th place finish here in both of his starts. So far this season, Ocon, it hasn't been the best for him in his Alpine. Remember when Alpine double top 10 was a lock, but he does have an average finish of 13.6. He's got 4 points finishes this season. In Miami, he finished 10th. In Montreal, he finished 10th. In Catalunya, he finished 10th. And then in Spa, he finished 9th. So not a terrible run all the way. Shanghai, he finished 11th. So Spielberg, he finished 12th. It's been decent enough for Ocon. I still think if we're going to take the experienced driver on this track versus the newcomer, give me the experienced driver, especially at plus money, plus 160 for Ocon over Calapinto.
Yeah, no argument for me here. I think that we got to see more from Calapinto before, especially in that car, before I want to be too high on him. And Ocon's been a guy that he's made us a good amount of money this year, right? A guy that we've kind of gone back to that well multiple times. Speaking of guys who only have one career F1 start, Rod, I'm going to shift over to Mr. Oliver Bierman. I just love this kid so much. I know that one career start was in a Ferrari, and this one's going to be in a Haas, so obviously not quite as good of a car, but I still like him this week, Rod. I like him a lot. I'm going to take him to get a points finish at 4-1 over on Bet365. And then, Rod, I'm going to take him to be the winner without at 11-1. Of course, that's the winner without the top 5 teams: Aston Martin, Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari. So he just has to be the best of the rest. Again, you don't even have to be in the points to get that 11th place. If those guys all chalk it up inside of the top 10 in the points there, then you can still get that. You can be in the points, double dip on this as well. I like it. One career start, of course, we talked about that already. Importantly, that was at Saudi Arabia, which is a street course. I like that. I like to see that. He almost made it to Q3 in that. Yeah, sure, he had a good car, but it takes the driver to do that as well. Finishes in 7th place. I mentioned it earlier, youngest driver ever to score points on debut. He's got a pretty solid F2 career. 39 starts, 6 wins over there. The 2022 F3 champion as well. Last year at this circuit, Rod, he won the pole in F2. He won the sprint in F2. He won the race in F2. Love to see that from Oliver Bierman. This is his home next year, right? And, they've just, Haas has been really getting it done this year, more so on the Hülkenberg side of things, right? Magnussen seems to have kind of lagged off a little, but these guys are kind of consistently dancing around in the points area. I actually wrote an article over on sportsgamingpodcast.com that's already out. Go check it out. I found a way to play him along with his teammate as well. So I'm kind of all in on the Bierman train this week. I think that he's going to be a really solid driver. He's young. He's only 19 years old. And we've already seen from him in one F1 start. I don't care what car you put him in, to be that impressive in that start on a street course gives me a lot of faith and hope for him in this race. So give me Oliver Bierman points finish plus 400 over on Bet365, and winner without the big 5 at 11-1.
So, I mean, we talked about the whole only one start thing, and just to your point too about Haas dancing in around the points. If I were to put 2 drivers together, and it would be, the Bierman and the Calapinto, look, Haas already has 28 points versus Alpine's 13. So you're already putting him in better equipment than the Alpine. So that's why I'm saying
he's with Williams, but
I mean, Williams,
they have less than Alpine, points. I bet, right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, it's Ocon on the brain, but yeah, Williams has 6 points versus Haas's 28. I mean, that's a huge number. So I would definitely feel more comfortable because, you're like, oh, you only got 1 start. Yeah, but I'd feel more comfortable with the 1 start in equipment that's at least scored some decent amount of points versus the equipment that is barely even running in the top 17 of the races week in and week out. So I like that. I know that I made the argument for a guy making 1 start to not have a good day versus now a guy have a better day. Like I said, the equipment.
I think there's a difference though. So, and like, I don't know as much about Calapinto and his history, but again, he's in a Williams car, which we've seen. I mean, I know the Logan Sargent was just fucking bad, right? We get that, but still a Williams car. Like, Albon's had some good runs, but I trust the Haas a lot more, and I trust Bierman a lot more as well.
I agree. You know who I trust a lot? That's Lewis Hamilton. That guy is on a tear. And this Mercedes team has got something figured out. They've started to chase down just about everybody. I mean, they're not going to catch anybody, but well, I don't know. No, they couldn't catch Ferrari even if they wanted to. That's a long way off. But even still, Lewis Hamilton sailing off into the sunset, going to Ferrari on a high note.
I was going to say he's going to catch Ferrari.
He's going to catch Ferrari. He's going to catch his Ferrari. But for Lewis Hamilton, look, he's only had 1 finish outside of the points all season long. That was in Melbourne. So, like you said, DK giving us top 4 numbers. I'll take Lewis as a top 4 at plus 150. Doesn't have to get onto the podium to cash this one. Plus 150 for a place in which Lewis Hamilton has made his home essentially for most of the season. However, on this track, he does have 3 top 4 finishes. He won this in 2018. He finished runner-up in 2019. In 2022, he finished in 4th place. But in 3 of these other finishes in which he didn't finish it, he finished just 1 spot outside of this. 2 5th-place finishes in 2016, 2017, and then a 6th-place finish last season in 2023. The only other start that he didn't finish in this prop range was in 2021, where he finished 15th, but he did start in the outside pole, led 9 laps in that one. So the potential was there for it. You just look at this season, an average finish of 6.3. However, in the beginning of the season was kind of a struggle. He turned it around in Canada, 4th place at Montreal, 3rd place the following week in Catalunya, started or 3rd place there, 4th place Spielberg, won at his home track in Silverstone, 3rd place at the Hungaroring, 1st place in Spa, had a bad day at the Dutch Grand Prix, finished 8th, but turned around for a 4th place or 5th place finish rather in Monza. He's either been there or been around there since Canada. So I don't know what it was in Montreal that got him going, but something got him going. And right now, a plus 150 for a top 4 on a track that A, he's comfortable with, and B, in a time of the season that's starting to see him and Mercedes pick things up. I like the plus money for this one. So give me Lewis Hamilton, top 4, plus 150.
Yeah, I love it, Rod. I've got more thoughts on Lewis later, so I will save those.
Beautiful. That's see, when we're all on it, I love it. All right, let me tell you first, guys, about BetUS. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 40 years. You can bet anywhere. BetUS is available in a ton of locations, including internationally. BetUS has a massive props menu, same game parlays, and some of the best boosts in the business. Plus, an all-new live betting experience. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. I've actually got a couple of BetUS bets coming up for this, so keep your ears open as I give you some of my favorite BetUS bets. Use the link to sign up or get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS, so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You could build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press Build a Model for Me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Been using Rhythm to actually get first touchdown prop predictions rather, and having a good time doing that. So go build your own models as well. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
BetUS, Rod, some pretty good lines over there. Also, that whole crypto thing comes very in handy in certain places. So keep that in mind. You were talking earlier about guys you trust, Rod. I'm going to talk about a couple guys that I do not trust. Dun, dun, dun. Give me, Rod, last classified finisher. I am going to pick on a certain team here. That team is Kick Sauber. I would like both Zhou Guanyu at -120 over on DraftKings. Pretty bad when you're minus money to be the last classified driver. And give me Valtteri Bottas, his teammate, as well at 4-1. So I was looking through this and I was like, man, I kind of really want Bottas at 4-1. And then as I was researching it more, I talked myself into Zhou. I'm like, okay, he needs to be on here as well. So I think you kind of just go all in on Zhou, and then you have Bottas as your backup play. So last classified finisher. If you're newer to F1, you're still kind of figuring it out from the NASCAR side of things. To be classified, you got to finish 90% of the race. So if Lando Norris wrecks out early in the race, finishes dead last, he's not classified, so that's not going to mess this up, which is actually sort of nice because you're just sort of betting on the last guy to finish the race or get to 90% of the race, that sucks. And that's kind of the angle that we're going at here. So Kick Sauber has been bad lately. And I know you talked down on Williams, but especially with the departure of Logan Sargent, Sauber has definitely kind of taken that crown. You go back to Italy last week. Lance Stroll actually ended up being the last classified finisher, but then Zhou Guanyu was right there. Hulkenberg was back there, and Bottas right there in the mix as well. Go back to the Dutch Grand Prix in the Netherlands. Zhou Guanyu last, Bottas in second to last. Back to Belgium. Oh, Zhou Guanyu, another last classified finisher. Actually, he was not because he did wreck there, but Bottas very close to the back again. Hungary, it was Zhou Guanyu there. Bottas again within the last couple of guys to be classified. The British Grand Prix, Zhou Guanyu, last classified finisher. Bottas not that far ahead of him. Canada, another street course here. Zhou Guanyu, last classified finisher. Do you see the trend that we're kind of building here? Bottas in third place. The last time that Zhou Guanyu finished better than 15th place, actually the last time that either of these guys finished better than 15th place was when only 15 cars finished the race, Rod. That was only back at June 9th in Canada. So, or no, that was right before the race at Canada. I forgot to write down what race that was. But Monaco, another street course race, last classified finisher, Zhou Guanyu. So to the point of Kick Sauber cars, not good right now. There's a reason he's minus 120 to be the last classified guy. You don't have to worry about Logan Sargent fucking it up. If there's going to be a pit crew that's going to fuck it up, we know it's the Kick Sauber guys, right? We've seen, and then they've sort of cleaned it up over the recently. It's not been as bad as the beginning of the year when it was just horrible, but still, you know, they've proven that they can do it this year. So, yeah, I'm just kind of picking on Kick Sauber here to be the last classified guys. Zhou Guanyu minus 120, Valtteri Bottas 4-1. Rod, welcome back into the show. Podcast audience might not have noticed you were gone. The video audience might have noticed you left. Can you hear me? And can I hear you?
Yeah, we're all good. It's it's about time. My poor little roadcaster has been in service now for about 5 years, and it's starting to reach the point now where I believe it's asking me, maybe 6 years, but it's asking me to put it outside.
Geez, we dropped the ball on this. Okay, so that roadcaster's done almost 500. So our recap show for the NASCAR next week, I don't know if you've noticed, that's going to be our 500th episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. This, Rod, the 69th episode of the F1 Gambling Podcast. Nice. So yeah, it's been through a lot.
No, it's been through.
And a lot more shows than that too.
I was going to say, and way more before, like at least 100 episodes of the NFL or the fantasy football podcast. Before that,
NFL gambling podcast. Yeah, you've done
all
sorts of a lot of stuff.
A ton of stuff. But all right, to get to your point, I do love this because Kick Sauber, man, those guys, I don't know what it is. You kick a Sauber when it's down, but you're just gonna, you're gonna keep riding these guys to finish last because that's what they've been doing. And I think like a first touchdown, but sprinkle it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like we're gonna help you watch the entire grid, right? So you're gonna be paying attention to the battle out front. You're also gonna be paying attention to the battle out back, which always makes it even more exciting.
I do, and I love it too because that makes you watch the ticker, and you're like, okay, who's last? Come on, Logan, pass one car, just pass one car.
Show us the battle for 16th, please. Come on, I'd like to see what's going on back here.
All right, well, I'm going to keep you guys up in the battle for the top, and I think we talked about it just before. Red Bull, they're pissed, and they're not going to let this slide for very much longer, especially on a street course where one of their drivers has been dominant. Both of their drivers have won a race on this out of the, 5 or 6 that have been on this track. The Red Bulls accounted for 3 of those wins. So they're going to try to get back up there. So you were not getting numbers like this 2 months ago. You weren't getting numbers like this for Red Bull double top 6 used to be just tanked in the minus 200s back in the day.
Minus 200, minus shit. That was probably minus like 2 million.
I don't know what it was, but
Dax was minus 400 to win half these races.
That's true. But now you're getting Red Bull double top 6 at plus 150 on Bet US. So Bet US giving you fantastic number for the bet for the double top 6, and that's the best number, by the way. If you go shopping around, Bet US has the best number for that. They also have the best number for a double podium. It's going to take a lot because we have seen McLaren, we have seen Ferrari take gigantic chunks out of this Red Bull team. We haven't seen Sergio Perez on the podium since Miami. It's been a very long time since he's been on the podium. He started out having 4 of 5 races on the podium, but since then has kind of dipped way back. But we just talked about it. If there is a track, if there is an opportunity for Sergio Perez to get right, it is most certainly this track, because in all but 2 of his 7 starts on here, he has been in the top 3. A 3rd place in 2016, a 3rd place in 2018, 1 in 2021, 2nd place in 2022, 1 in 2023, and led 42 laps in that. Average finish of 4.4. I'm sorry, he was in the top 6 in all but 1 of these races. So we're talking top 6, not podium. But even a double podium is still 4 out of the 5. So look, he's done fantastic on this track. We just talked about that earlier and starting it out. So, but a top 6, I mean, look, he was 6th place at the Dutch Grand Prix. And then, of course, like I said, that string of top 6 finishes to start the season up to Imola. So a 7.6 average finish for Sergio Perez. This is probably going to end up getting right. Max, his average finish, despite not winning these races. See, this is where we get kind of twisted. We're like, Max is horrible. Why? Because he's not winning every race. He's still averaging a 3.6 place finish so far this season. He only has 1 finish, Cody, 1 finish that was not inside of the top 6. And that was the 19th, the time that he crashed out in Australia. Mm-hmm. So since then, every finish has been inside of the top 6. This hits every single time but once. So I don't think we can give up on Max Verstappen as a top 6 car. 10 podiums in 16 starts, though. I mean, look, granted, it's been kind of spotty lately. His 2 podiums came in Silverstone and Dutch Grand Prix, where he finished 2nd. But it's Max. I'm going to talk about more later, but yeah, give me double Red Bull plus 150. We haven't seen that in a while. And then double podium, 22-1 on Bet US.
Yeah, I'm the top 6 on this, man. I really, really like this. Look, as good as Perez has been here, I talked him up earlier, obviously. And Max he's just going to be in the top 6 because that's where Max lives at. So I think that is a really, really good number. And then at 22-1, it's worth it, because what if Checo shows up, has a really good day, ends up winning or getting on that podium, and Max is, if Checo's that good, Max is probably going to be pretty close to him and be right there with him. So, I think that both of these are great calls, and I really like it, Rob.
Great stuff. All right, who do we think is going to win this race?
Yeah, I got a couple of outrights here, Rod. Going to go to Bet US for both of these. They're offering some pretty nice, juicy odds over there. Oscar Piastri, 5-1. We haven't talked about him. Haven't really talked about McLaren. They're sort of getting to that point where they're a little harder to bet on at times because the numbers are coming down. But when his teammate Lando's at plus 120 and Oscar's at 5-1, and I know that they're going to be trying to make sure that Lando gets max amount of points, right? And Zach Brown was talking about that this week. Oscar knows he's the one that's in the battle. If Lando has the opportunity, they need to let Lando go get the points. But Oscar could still just end up being up front and winning, and if Lando's not right there, then Oscar's got a chance. It shouldn't be plus 500 when his teammate's only at plus 120. Oscar's been just about as good as Lando has. 6 straight finishes inside of the top 4. 4 of the last 6 he's been in the top 2, Rod. 2nd at Monaco street course, 2nd or 4th at Saudi street course before McLaren was as good as they are. 4th at Australia as well, same thing. Some attrition in that race, but still going to count it anyways. So I'm kind of all over the Oscar Piastri train, like him at 5-1. You brought up Lewis Hamilton earlier, 14-1. He's as low as like 9-1. Some other books, Rod. Bet US has you covered, 14-1. That is a really, really great number. You kind of talked about all the stats that I was going to hit on earlier, but 2 wins this season, 4 podiums in the last 7 races. He's been in the mix. The street courses kind of, if you look back through the season, not necessarily the greatest for Lewis this year, but it's Lewis Hamilton. Like I'm not too worried about that. And that was kind of before Mercedes has had their outbreak and looked way better down the stretch. with George getting a win, almost 2 wins besides being a few pounds light, or a few, I don't remember how they weigh it, kilograms light, whatever.
Kilograms.
But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, they've kind of figured things out. So 14-1, I think that he is worth a shot as well. So kind of got spread out all over the grid here this week on the card. Really kind of had a lot of fun building this card and not just focusing on one or two teams, but really kind of spread it throughout the field and different people to do different things. And had a lot of fun doing that. And this is going to be a fun race to wake up and watch on my DVR because it's at 6 a.m.
Yeah, even earlier for me. I'm definitely.
Yeah, it's a 4 a.m. start for you, so you just stay up for the night before, Ron.
Yeah, no, I tend to watch most of these F1 races on my DVR because as much as I love F1, I love sleeping a little bit, and if I can catch them from the comfort. And the good thing about it is they don't really have commercials. They don't have commercials at all, so I can just watch it straight through. Anyways, it doesn't take up a lot of time out of my day. All right, I love it. I mean, look, you can't argue with a McLaren. They're the hottest team right now in the garage, or in the paddock rather. And then, Lewis Hamilton, I talked about him earlier to be a top 4. Doesn't take much to get him into winning this race. All right. It's the return of the Max, kids. I highly think that this is going to be a day in which, and if you got that reference, good job on being a 90s kid. And I heard the song on the radio this morning too. I was going to say it already, and I heard the song on the radio, and I was like, I'll take it. I like that reference. So Return of the Max. I know it's Return of the Max. Shut up. I think he's pissed, right? I mean, you can see when he's not on the podium how irritated he is. You can see even when everybody else is in there, they're not in the cool down room. They miss Max. They want some Max back. So I'm going to load up on Max Verstappen this week, and I'm going to say that because you're getting great numbers for it, first and foremost. And second of all, because I don't know that I've ever seen Max at plus 750 to win a race in a very long time. So I'll take that. So Max at plus 750 to win the race. But I'm also going to tack on a couple of extra bets that involve Max. And I'm going to go with the FP1 winner, plus 450 on BetUS. They're giving you a great number on first practice for Max. He was the fastest in practice 1 here. Last year, the only practice here last year, he was the fastest there, but it's been a while, right? Since we've seen Max top the charts in a practice. And I think again, when we were seeing Max top the charts in the first practice, then, he did it last week in Italy. So that's great, but he was doing it with way more consistency over the last couple of seasons. And then we know that it's been something that he hangs his hat on. He's the fastest car out. He goes out, he tries to intimidate everybody, and that's how he wins these races. He hasn't really been doing that a lot lately. He was second fastest at the Dutch Grand Prix in practice 1. So he's been around the front of the charts, right, for a better part of the season, even if he hasn't been the fastest car in everyone. He was actually the fastest in Belgium too. So again, we know that Red Bull wants to come out and show their dominance right away, which practice 1 is the way to do it. A lot of teams tried different strategies in practice 1. Red Bull, they just want to come out and be fast. So give me a great number for that FP1 plus 450. And then I'll just take Red Bull as a team to win this race at plus 330 as well, because now it gets you covered, and you can even double down if Checo does end up winning this race. So plus 330 is still a great number. It's better than what we were getting Max at to win races back in the day. So if you're covered with both of the Red Bull drivers at plus 330, I say take that, take Max, take Checo, take Max to win FP1, and watch that bankroll expand by the end of the day.
I like it, Rod. No arguments from me. Yeah, I mean, it's imagine at the beginning of the season, or even a few races into the season, saying that you were going to get Max Verstappen at this number this season. Just you would have thought that was the craziest thing ever. So yeah, I really like it. I was looking. I want to add one more bet here, Rod. I was trying to find the number, if I could find it quickly. 150 to 1 to be the fastest qualifier and win the race for Sergio Perez, Rod. If he's going to win the race, he's probably going to have to be the fastest qualifier and just run away from everyone and do his thing. Why could he not do it? He's the street course king for a reason. He's the only multi-time winner at this track. He's been top 2 in the last 3 here. Fastest qualifier, plus race winner, 150 to 1. Think about it, Rod. If he qualifies fastest, what is his number going to be to win this race? Plus
Way less,
300
yeah.
if you're lucky.
150
to 1. I mean, throw $5 on it. Throw $1 on it. I don't like. It's worth it. So officially adding that to the Checo Perez car lift.
Sweet. Okay. All right. Well, get out your pen and paper. We will go over all of these bets for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and then we'll actually give you some bonus underdog picks after we're done. So, Cody started you out with Checo Perez, top 4. We just got done talking about him, plus 275 on DK, a podium finish at plus 800 on Bet365, fastest qualifier on DK at 40 to 1, and fastest qualifier in to win the race, 150 to 1. I said take Esteban Ocon over Franco Colapinto at plus 160 over on BetMGM. Cody gave you Ollie Bierman to finish in the points at plus 400 on Bet365, and the winner without the big 20 cars now at 11 to 1. I'm going to take Lewis Hamilton as a top 4 car at plus 150 on DK. Cody gave you Zhou Guanyu as the last classified car at minus 120 on DK, and Valtteri Bottas as well at 4 to 1. I chuckle because I think that 120 is such a crazy minus 120 is such a they're like, all right, fine, we're not going to get burnt by this because this is definitely going to happen. So
yeah, I mean the fact that that's what the number is shows you what they think about them.
Exactly. I'll take Red Bull as a double top 6 finisher at plus 150 on BetUS. Double podium at 22 to 1 over on BetUS. Cody gave you Oscar Piastri at 5 to 1 on BetUS to win. Lewis Hamilton at 14 to 1 on BetUS to win. Make sure you're hitting them up. They got some great numbers this week. I'm taking the free practice winner at plus 450 over on BetUS. Red Bull as a winning team at plus 330, also on BetUS, and then Max at plus 750 on DK to win this race. All right, Cody, we promised everybody we'd give them some underdog picks as well to go along with this. So you already gave them Sergio Perez at better than 7.5. Where are we going next?
Hopefully you didn't fast forward to the ad read. Checo Perez. It's better than 7.5. Love that one. That's definitely my favorite one on the board. Lewis Hamilton, better than 5.5, Rod. Really, really like that as well. We both kind of made a case for him in different spots. I think that's a good number. Just a top 5 for Lewis Hamilton. That's very doable.
Yep, that is definitely doable. All right, I am going to go with Danny Rick. Look, I know we love Daniel Ricciardo, but boy, I tell you, it's been so rough for those racing bulls lately. His number set at 13.5, his finishing position. I'm going to have to just take the worst then. Daniel Ricciardo has been struggling. If we think that Williams is going to have, if we think that Ollie's going to have a good day in Haas, if we think that, even Aston Martin can pull their head out of their asses and get Stroll back up into the top 12, it's going to make it difficult for Danny Ricciardo to contend with the points, let alone a top 13 finish. So give me Danny Rick, worse than 13.5, begrudgingly.
Yeah, I have no rebuttal or argument against that. One more that I like, Rod, Nico Hülkenberg, better than 12.5. And have that young kid in the other Haas. He's going to need to show up and put down some fast stuff and be inside of that top 12 at the end of the day.
I like that. One last one that I like, worse than Lance Stroll, 11.5. I'm sorry, but this is not necessarily a number that I'm very much in love with. So give me the worst than Lance Stroll, 11.5. His last 3 finishes, he's had 2 inside of the top 11, but the last 4 finishes rather, last 2, 13th in the Dutch Grand Prix, 19th at Monza. His finishing position, 12.3 this season. This track been okay for him, but in an Aston Martin, he's got 2 finishes of 16th or worse. Last year was a good finish for him, in 7th place, but we know Aston Martin was looking a hell of a lot better last season than it is this season. So I don't think Stroll will be flirting with the points finish. Therefore, give me worse than 11.5.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. They did just get Adrian Newey to come over. I think that'll be positive for them in the future, but not going to help this week. So agreed with you there.
All right, beautiful. All right, Cody. We even threw in some underdog plays for this week. Look at us.
I like it. Glad they had him up nice and early this week. So works out very nicely. Best of luck to everyone this week, Rod. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode because, as you mentioned at the top of the show, back-to-back weeks of F1 racing. So you got to love that. And yeah, in the meantime, Rod, make sure you follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. SportsGamblingPodcast.com. Got an F1 article out over there. A couple of other picks in there as well. Some more love for Checo if you really want some more reassurance on him. And we'll see you guys probably later today, tomorrow, the next day, all that with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Make sure you check that out as well. And follow the show on X as well at F1 Gambling Pod. See you guys next week.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review. I got some NFL stuff. And then, yeah, click the linky because there's some F1 DFS that's been going up on a site that I appreciate and love. So check that out if you want some F1 DFS advice. And yeah, that's all the stuff I got going on. Follow me there on Twitter. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week with more of the F1 Gambling Podcast. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.